But this morning, there are new questions about the investigation and what happened there. Federal investigators say after testing the car, they can't explain what went wrong. Will we ever know what really happened? Let's talk about it from Washington. Congressman Darrell Issa joins us. He's a Republican from California, also the ranking member of the House Committee on Oversight and Government Reform. You had a committee staff member sort of looking over the shoulders of engineers from Toyota and from the government as they tried to duplicate this problem on this particular car. What did he find?
Well, what they found was the damage to the car was not completely consistent with the story that was given, and they couldn't repeat this in any way, shape, or form. They put new brakes on the car and took it out for over 2 hours, could not come up with anything that resembles what Mr. Sykes had said.
But as you know, the state trooper whose car we just saw in a photo that I guess you didn't see, but the state trooper who was able to get in front of that car, merge the two of them together and then bring the Prius to a stop. He said that he saw the brake lights illuminated. He smelled the brakes burning. It sure seemed at the time like it was a legitimate case of a runaway car.
Well, certainly the Highway Patrol did a heroic job, and I appreciate their work. But as Toyota and Issa engineers went through this piece by piece, they were able to eliminate not only all known problems, but cast some doubt as to whether it happened exactly that way. We're going to wait for the final report, but in our oversight of Congress, we got what we wanted. Toyota putting their people into checking thoroughly, Issa putting their people side by side checking thoroughly. Secretary LaHood granted both the transparency they promised and the accountability and the responsiveness towards safety. So although this may never be resolved, we're still looking at every one of these issues to make sure that the fixes that have been put through are going to be sufficient, that everyone can feel that Toyotas are now safe.
I mentioned before that prior to your being in Congress, you made your career in the automotive electronics business. Sykes' lawyer says there is an electronic problem with that car. Maybe you can't duplicate it, but he called it a ghost in the machine. Possible?
Well, possible but remote. Akio Toyoda, when we brought him before our committee, said that he could not completely eliminate something of that sort. But having worked in electronics for over 20 years, the one thing I know is that you should be able to duplicate, particularly with an electronic data bus that's sending very discrete signals, encoded signals, you should be able to duplicate this on a consistent basis. They're going to continue going through this and other cars, but in most cases they're finding the real cause to be other known problems or, to be honest, driver error. But, we're going to stay on top of both Toyota and Issa to make sure that going forward, people can feel comfortable that the car is safe and that if there is a report, it will be thoroughly checked out.
Well, what about NHTSA, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration? You have been critical of them in the past for the job they've done in sort of riding herd on Toyota and other companies reporting problems. How do you think they're performing at this moment?
Well, it's amazing when you shed light on a problem, bureaucrats do a good job. And I think both Secretary LaHood and our investigation has shed light on an organization that now is stepping up its making the auto companies do their job. The General Motors, the Chevy Cobalt recall certainly was long overdue and happened. And Toyota is being quite frankly, forced to live up to an incredibly high standard, one higher than the auto companies. But I think that's good for Toyota and it's good for automotive safety. Secretary LaHood is calling for a brake override summit, a scientific investigation that will apply to all automobile manufacturers. So there's a lot of good starting to come out of the tragedies that did occur with the Saylor family and others.
So in short, Congressman, can you tell the American public that they should start to feel confident that their government is doing everything it can to make sure that the cars we drive are safe?
I can say that this secretary and Issa now are living up to our expectations. They're doing the job every day. We're going to stay on top of it. We're going to keep committee personnel assigned to the safety issue, working with the Secretary of Transportation to make sure that we put behind us a legacy of neglect that I believe occurred for more than a decade. Additionally, we're going to work with the Secretary of Transportation on ending this revolving door where people leave these agencies and come back immediately as lobbyists for various auto companies. We think that contributed in no small part to an ability to reduce what should have been done down to what was done.
Congressman Darrell Issa, Republican of California. Thanks.